Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. So, continuing from the last segment, we were talking about some of the things that you could expect to see or to find from the people here in this particular region. And as we mentioned on the preceding clips, that the same thing that afflicts the people here are some of the same things that afflict the people in the Western societies. And I'll give some examples. One of the major afflictions that I see here, I see it as an affliction because when a law gives you something and you don't use that thing to make to benefit yourself or the people around you, you don't make proper use of it, then rather than it become barakah for you, it becomes a fitna. Rather than it become a blessing for you, it becomes a source of fitna, which you could probably be punished for it. And we seek Allah's protection from His punishment. So I'll say that the major thing I've seen that is an affliction in these lands is money. It's a dichotomy or it's a paradox in comparison because we had a situation in the States, many of us, we didn't have enough money. We're fighting to make enough money. And in these lands, the people have too much money. So again, they are very much given to their indulgences. And of course, I have to make a disclaimer here that this is not every person in the Gulf. This is not every person who lives in these lands, but so there are some exceptions. But overall, the mood in this particular country in Kuwait seems to be very, very money driven. And whenever you are in an affluent situation where you live amongst people who have a lot of money and they come from money, and that's how they deal with money. So the situation like that, you're going to find when you are submerged in this environment, this is what you're going to find. This is how the people deal with things. And even this was the pattern or the behavior of the pre-Islamic Arabs in the past. They judged the ability of an individual to rule over them, or they judged whether we should take from this person or not based on the fact of his status and his lineage, where he came from, and if he had any money. Like the situation where Allah sent one of their prophets to Bani Israel, and He told them, He said, Allah has appointed for you Talut, to be the king over you. And they said, how is he going to be the king over us when we are wealthier than him and we're more deserving of it than he is? We're mightier than him, or wealthier rather than him, and we're more deserving of it. Meaning, from our lineage, from our family, we have stock. Our stock is from kings and queens and rulers and dignitaries and tribesmen and wealthy people and people who have honor and rank and position amongst their peers and so forth. In other words, we have clout. We have clout. How is Allah going to choose this person to lead us? But see, again, it's not about any of those things that we mentioned. What their prophet told them, Allah has chosen him because he is the best amongst you in his wisdom, he's the wisest amongst you, and he is best in his physical prowess. So not only was he the wisest amongst them, he was also the strongest amongst them. And Allah uses the people that he needs to use for his situation as he pleases. So from some of the things you might find or that you will find, it is very common that you will go in any mall, and the malls here are unbelievable. Everything is huge on a nightmare scale. It's just huge. I went to one particular mall called Avenues, the Avenues, and this is the first time I had been really in a mall in Kuwait at that time, and really from anywhere else, because I don't think that in the last several years I had even been in a mall. This was something I used to do in my youth, and been there and done that, and I don't see any enjoyment anymore. I go to do what I have to do when I leave. When I was in Bahrain, I only went there to certain particular shops to go get what I had to get and come out. There's just no enjoyment for me hanging out at the mall like a lot of young people do. This is what you find here. So you will find people who are coming there to spend money, and I'm talking about money, and they want to buy all of the new types of gadgets and the phones with the tricked out features and all of that stuff, all of the latest fashions, your Liz Claiborne, your Louis Vuitton, your Gucci, your Prada, your Dolce and Gabbana, and all of that stuff. This is where they live, their mindset. And then there's that segment of the mall crowd, I'll call them, that basically is there to watch other people. So you have your girl watchers and you got your boy watchers, and then you have your people who just come to just sit, just enjoy themselves or whatever. So there's a little of everything in this mall. It's huge. I mean, my legs and everything actually got tired walking. The length of this mall is very, very big. It's massive. So you will find people going about their day-to-day affairs in that. You will find the same afflictions that afflict people on the road with issues of road rage. There are people, I know of a situation personally where a guy will get angry and wind up getting into some type of physical altercation with the guy who ticked him off in the car. I myself was experienced something of this. I was going to work in an area, a city that was maybe one or two cities over from where I work. So this drive in the morning is very hectic. If I'm not out of the door at 6:15 at the latest, I'm going to be late. That's just what it is. So in the morning time, if I leave early, I can take my time. Make a long story short, I'm traveling in the left lane. The thing that they will do here, if you are a driver and the law blesses you to get a driver's license, you're going to have a lot of patience with the people on this road. At least in the states and some other Western countries, possibly as well. If someone does something to you, some kind of act of road rage or retaliation or something like that, at least you have the law on your side to an extent that you have something you can turn to, or some law enforcement official or authority you can turn to. Here is not like that, and now we'll get into what this Wasta thing is later on, but there's a lot of it. So depending on who you tick off and where he's from and what clan he's from and what family he's from, it has a lot to do with if you're going to get your right. It has a lot to do with if you will receive your rights or not. So this particular individual, what these guys do, and it's mostly, almost always, it is the young guys. It is the young guys, almost every case. You have some older ones are like that, but in most cases, when I mean young, I mean anywhere between 17 to 18 to say about 30. Let's say 25, 27, like that. 25, 27. So like 18 to 27. Very impatient, very impulsive, very precocious, very assumptive that they own the road. So they will get behind you if you're going too slow, and their idea of going too slow is the maximum speed limit is 120 kilometers an hour. So if you're doing 120 kilometers an hour in the left hand lane where the faster traffic is, that's too slow for some people. You need to be doing about 135, 140, but you can't do that because the police here in Kuwait will stop you. There's a sharp contrast from the way I saw the police in Bahrain. If you ever saw them, and he's just kind of cruising and he's profiling certain types of drivers. He's stopping mostly Asians. So these police officers in Kuwait, they will stop you and you will get a ticket and you won't be able to talk your way out of it. You're going to have to deal with the magistrate or the judge or wherever you go. So this individual, he gets behind me, he starts flashing his lights. Flash, 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 flash. It really took me some years to be able to learn to ignore it. Because you will, no matter what lane you get in, you're going to always find someone that you are not going fast enough for him. No matter how fast you go, some person with a brand new souped up ride wants to go faster. You're doing 130. He needs to do 140, 145. You're moving too slow. He wants you to get out of his way. This individual, he didn't do that, or he flashed his lights. I didn't move. So as I moved over, he eventually passed me and got in front of me and hit the brakes. I stopped very, very short, probably within a foot of hitting him. So now I'm a little mad now. My heart is racing. I'm trying to control myself, and I have to get to work. I move in the next lane. He moves back over the next lane in front of me. So now we're doing this cat and mouse game. I move, he move, I move, he move. So just as his exit was coming off, he peeled off and he went. But I was so worked up by that point, I had to really calm down for a second. So these are